I'm Sami Sang and I'm going to do a read and think aloud of the book Guantanamo Diary by Mohamedou Ousslahi, and I'm going to give a brief background information to explain the context that I selected. That is from page 20 through to 22 of the book Guantanamo Diary. So the passage states the tortures that prisoners of America are going through. Slahi was imprisoned at Guantanamo simply because he is a Muslim and he is believed to be among those who contributed to the 9/11 massacre. And so the misconception of being a Muslim is one of the very key points that led to his arrest as a terrorist planner. So he had also visited some countries that are not in good relations to America, like Afghanistan. It's also that brought attention to him being arrested. And so the passage states some of the tortures he was going through. And I'm going to read from page 20. That is, "What? Cuba?" I exclaimed. "I don't even speak Spanish, and you guys hate Cuba." "Yes, but we have an American territory in Guantanamo," he said, and told me about Teddy Roosevelt and things like that. I knew that I was going to be sent further from home, which I hated. "Why would you send me to Cuba? We have other options like Egypt and Algeria, but we only send them the very bad people. I hate sending people over there because they'll experience painful torture. Just send me to Egypt." "You sure do not want that? In Cuba, they treat detainees humanely, and they have 2 imams. The camp is run by a DOG, not the military." "But I've done no crime against your country. I'm sorry if you haven't. Just think of it as if you had a cancer. Am I going to be sent to court? Not in the near future, maybe in 3 years or so, when my people forget about September 11. Michael went on to tell me about his private life, but I don't want to put it down here. I had a couple more sessions with Michael after that. He asked me some questions and tried to trick me, saying things like, he said he knows you, for people I had never heard of. He took my email address and passwords. He also asked the German intelligence agents who were present in Bagram to interrogate me, but they refused, saying that German law forbids them from interrogating aliens outside the country. He was trying the whole time to convince me to cooperate so he could save me from a trip to Cuba. To be honest, I prefer to go to Cuba than to stay in Bagram. Let it be, I told him. I don't think I can change anything. Somehow I liked Michael. Don't get me wrong, he was a sneaky interrogator, but at least he spoke to me according to the level of my intellect. I asked Michael to put me inside the cell with the rest of the population and showed him the injuries I had suffered from the barbed wire. He approved. In Bagram, interrogators could do anything with you. They had overall control, and the MPs were at their service. Sometimes Michael gave me a drink, which I appreciated, especially with the kind of diet I received. Moi Maris and dry bread in every meal. I secretly passed my meals to other detainees. One night, Michael introduced 2 military interrogators who asked me about the Millennium Plot. They spoke broken Arabic and were very hostile to me. They didn't allow me to sit and threatened me with all kinds of things, but Michael hated them and told me in German, if you want to cooperate, and so with me. The MI guys are nothing. I felt myself under auction, and whichever agency beats more. In the population, we always broke the rules and spoke to our neighbors. I had 3 direct neighbors. One was an Afghani teenager who was kidnapped on his way to Emirates. He used to work there, which was why he spoke Arabic with a Gulf accent. He was very funny and he made me laugh. Over the past 9 months, I had almost forgotten how he was spreading. He was spending holidays with his family in Afghanistan and went into Iran. From there, he headed to the Emirates in a boat, but the boat was hijacked by the US and the passengers were arrested. My second neighbor was a 20-year-old Mauritanian guy who was born in Nigeria and moved to Saudi Arabia. He had never been in Mauritania, nor did he speak the Mauritanian dialect. If he didn't introduce himself, you would say he was a Saudi. My third neighbor was a Palestinian from Jordan named Ibrahim. He was captured and tortured by an Afghani tribal leader for about 7 months. His kidnapper wanted money from Ibrahim's family, or else he would turn him over to the Americans. Though the latter option was the less promising because the US was only paying 5,000 USD per head. Unless it was a big head, the bandit arranged everything with the family regarding the ransom, and Ibrahim managed to flee from captivity in Kabul. He made it to Jalalabad, where he easily stuck out as an Arab mujahid, and was captured and sold to the Americans. I told Ibrahim that I'd been in Jordan, and he seemed to be knowledgeable about the intelligence service. He knew all the interrogators who dealt with me, as he himself spent 50 days in the same prison where I had been. So I selected this text because it explains how being a Muslim is considered crime, may be sentenced and forced to provide false information that you aren't even aware of, because Slahi was taken, was prisoned with no crime, and he had no idea as to why he was being prisoned. So the text clearly explains how Muslims are being misconcepted, in that he also found 3 other Muslims who were being detained the same camp. So I found one unknown word that is one unfamiliar, humanly. And so I found this word humanly to be to mean inflicting a minimum of pain. And according to the context, that means that at the prison they were being pressed or being inflicted to some pain. So I'm going to make a connections of this book, and I'm going to connect it in such a way that I've come to realize that most attacks made are mostly assumed to be done by Muslims. Even when I remember back at home in home country Kenya, when attacks are witnessed, it's mostly assumed to be done by maybe Al-Shabaab or Muslims. And so this is a misconception that is being done to Muslims. So I also have a question related to this read and think alone, that is, why is it that Muslims are seen as a problem, or were Muslims considered as terrorists in most instances? Muslims are much discriminated than any other people in the society. And another question is, why is it that the tortures in prisons are much more than how it should be inflicted into humans? Because it seems like Slahi was undergoing so much torture in that he could be forced to say false information or say things that maybe he never participated in. That is it. Thank you.